using generative AI tools? Well, the advantage is here. While most of the library tools actually support searching and generating the references for various publications, the AI tools, and I choose my words very carefully, operate on the content. They operate on the content by linking, by reasoning, and displaying the content in visually expressive way. And when you actually try out some of these tools, you can feel that it delivers a superior viewing, navigational, and analytical ability for the researcher to proceed with more in-depth investigation and to make decisions. On the second question there, ChatGPT is probably one of the most popular things that people have been trying. And as I said, you've got to have heard about this. There are hallucinations. There are, erroneous references being put together by ChatGPT. In fact, many of the references that ChatGPT generates at the end of a document, at the end of an essay, those references do not exist. So, I couldn't be kidding if I'm recommending people to use ChatGPT for research. Of course not. In fact, the whole field is, it's expanding and it's exploding very, very fast, very, very rapidly. Every week, they're up to 2,000 new tools to generate. So I'm talking about using newer versions, variants, extensions, special versions of generative AI tools to support research, not the generic version, not the ChatGPT version. Well, you don't have to believe me. You can do a search on Google, for example, on AI tools to support research, and you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised with the result that came back. It's, oh my God, there are so many of these tools already. As I said, every week there's up to 2,000 new tools being produced. So how are we going to make sense out of this? So what tool we should use in order to start, enhancing our research capability? Well, earlier on I said that, on the whole, the AI tools can help researchers on these aspects. Let me take it to the next level, a lot more detail. At the next level, I can say that, these tools help researchers to formulate ideas, to generate an essay, to identify hypotheses for investigation, to summarize the document, to interrogate or to convert with the content of the document. It can also help to identify hypotheses that are supported, that are not supported, and hypotheses that are mentioned, right? Or topics that are mentioned by various authors in different publications. It can even suggest titles, references, and text to go into a paper. So it's very powerful. But still, we still have thousands of these tools around, so I believe we need a framework. I'm going to introduce a framework so that the various categories of these tools. The first category of these tools is shown on the left-hand side. These are tools that help to summarize documents and then also allows you to interrogate or ask the content of the document. So by its very nature, it can help you to quickly understand what the paper is talking about, or key points. So, yes, I can.
Are you still sharing your slides?
Say that again, please.
No, we cannot see your slides.
I have shared it. Should I share it again?
Yeah.
Okay, let me share it again. Now, can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, sorry about that. The first category of these tools, it's doing document summarizations. In other words, Many of these tools help you to summarize a document and reduce that to a set of bullet points, reduce the set to a finite number of words. And as a researcher, you can also ask about what's the content of this document. For example, what are the findings of this particular paper? What sort of data is being used to support the hypothesis? And what are the conclusions? What are the limitations of this paper? So you can do all that with the first category of tools. Now you go right to the end. On the right-hand side, the fourth category of tools is the tools that can help the researcher to improve the writing of English and ensure that the paper conforms to the expected writing style of a technical paper, of a scientific paper, as well as complying with the standards and the requirements, formatting, styling, and referencing standard of a journal, of a publisher. It can also help the researchers to do. Going back to the middle, more papers, of course. The library tools can also do that. You'll be enlightened to know that in fact this category of tools uses different types of search algorithms. So in other words, they are theoretically possible to find additional papers that the typical library tools cannot find. Okay? They can use, for example, semantic processing, which focus on the meaning of words, meaning of paper, to find other similar papers that are not sharing the same set of keywords. So therefore, typical library tools may not be able to find for you. And also for this category of tools, they're very powerful in enabling you to visualize the result. And I will talk more about that in a minute. Then, number three is the category of tools that actually help the researchers to explore and identify the research topics, research questions, the research hypothesis that he or she would like to investigate. Because these tools can quickly find, hey, how many papers are actually supporting this hypothesis and in what area, and how many papers are actually proving this hypothesis to be wrong or not supporting it. Okay, and who are the authors working on this type of research, and the last few years research trends and so forth. So all those can be quickly prepared for the researcher. That's why I'm saying that it helps the researcher to identify topics for research, identify the research questions, and also to make decisions on what sort of research hypothesis that he or she would like to use. You can see that, going from left to right, it almost parallels the typical research process from the conception of ideas, the left-hand side, starting to do your investigation, starting the data collection, writing the paper, and getting it published. So to the fourth side, to the right-hand side. So, it parallels the research process, and it supports these four main stages. So a little bit more about these categories. Firstly, document summarization. As I said before, this set of tools actually, focuses on dissecting a document, a paper, or a set of papers, and then it can give you a summary to varying length about what this paper is about. More than that, you can also generate flashcards and the words summary of a particular document. Furthermore, it also allows the researcher, what is this paper about? What are the methodology being used? What are the major findings? What are the limitations? And where is the data coming from, and so forth. Okay, you can actually use and type using simple English to converse, a dialogue with the software, and it actually answers questions for you. So these are the commonly used tools in this particular category. The second category of tools are on searching. As I said before, they help the user to identify additional papers, additional publications that are related or seemingly related to your research topic. And they are, generally speaking, complementary or supplementary to what the library can find for you. And this group of tools also help you to link together the various papers papers based on authors, based on the topic, based on the references, and also based on time. So you can easily visualize for a particular topic by a particular author or a group of authors over time, how has the research actually evolved over a period of time. You can easily identify which are the seminal work, the major groups of researchers working on a particular topic by identifying the number of citations. So generally speaking, those papers that has attracted the most number of citations, we call them seminal work. They are cornerstone work, and everyone needs to cite them, right? They are very important and so impactful. Also, in this category, there are also some very powerful tools there. I encourage you to try them out. Now, to the third group of tools. These are tools that help the researcher to, generate specific, research questions to identify certain hypotheses. For example, I think, good knowledge sharing can lead to higher organizational performance. That sounds logical. Well, let's use these tools. We can find out if indeed other researchers have tested this hypothesis. What are the data and methodology they have used, and what are the results, and how many other papers actually endorse or reinforce this particular result. So it gives you confidence and gives you background as a researcher about a particular hypothesis, and also the frequency of that hypothesis being proved and tackled before. So that's what I said. It helps the researcher to refine their hypothesis, right? Maybe including some new elements that have not been tackled before. There you go. That's your research gap, and that's your territory that you can spend your research on. So it's an ongoing process that helps researchers to fine-tune their research questions and decide on the methodology that they would like to use. So once again, very powerful tools in this particular area as well. And the fourth category is, congratulations, you're towards the last stage of your research. And in this case, you are writing up. You can use this tool to help you to, improve your use of English, or to make sure that to take forward the show those suggest if you give it topics, it can suggest at least some titles that you can choose from. Okay, so that's that's a quick summary of the four categories of tools, and today the time doesn't permit me to go into the next level, but just to let everybody know, those of you who are interested, on the 21st next Friday next week, in Hong Kong evening time, which is afternoon West African time, I will be giving an expanded presentation that actually goes into showing, demonstrating any of those of you who are interested, just for this talk. Now, tools. My analysis is that the third left-hand side and the right-hand side category of tools, they are mostly using generative AI tools, whereas the middle two groups, they are using more traditional other types of AI tools, descriptive and analytic and visual. Now, why do I say that? Because we have to be especially careful about the power and limitations of the different types of AI tools and algorithms. For example, for those who are using, for example, generative AI tools, we have to be especially careful to remember that in fact these tools are very much based on algorithms that doesn't understand or doesn't analyze the meaning of the words, and the training data means a lot for these tools. So we need to be aware about what sort of training data is being used and up to what date, so that we can, assess the limitations when we actually interpret the result from these tools. Okay, let me finish up. last section, and that is a research paper by a very influential journal, Nature, and the authors said that we have to be very careful for researchers to adopt these tools. Indeed, we have to, right? And reasons being, these tools actually create erroneous results, hallucinations, things that doesn't exist. We need to understand, where these, in declaring the use of these tools among researchers. So in other words, in future, when these tools are more adopted, then perhaps, in writing a paper, you have to declare about which tool, AI tools that you have used, and how you have actually, improved on the results, and discard some of the erroneous results that are provided by these tools. But I think, at least for junior researchers, new researchers, there's a lot to gain because, as I said, you can explore with these tools, do up a quick summary, fast learning about the knowledge of a particular topic, understand about what are the key seminal work that is being worked on by researchers, and quickly generate a literature review summarizing, the origin and evolution of a research topics over a particular period of time, investigate your potential research question, hypothesis, and then start to firm up on exactly what you would like to research. And when you start writing your paper, you can also rely on these tools to help you to improve the writing of the paper, as well as the style, the tone of your writing, as well as ensuring that for the journal that you are targeting, your manuscript is conforming or complying with the stated requirement, formatting, styling, and referencing requirement of that particular journal. So all these things surely can accelerate our progress and save a lot of time and effort. But make no mistake, I'd like to remind everybody that these tools are not substitutes for library tools, at least not in the foreseeable future. They are not substitute or not meant to substitute for your library tools. You still have to conduct, searching with the library. Okay. Finally, again, a reminder, I want to be cautious. These tools are far from perfect, so they are just the beginning. But if you use them carefully, you will have gains, and you can accelerate your research. Right? However, you must know about the strengths and weaknesses of the tool that you're using, and you must do some evaluation. Make sure that you're using the right set of tools. Okay? Because some tools are better at some purposes, some jobs than others. Future-proof your efforts. In other words, because these tools are so new, many of them will not last forever, right? Or last for a long time. So they will be, they will be out of business. They will disappear. So, offload your data and make lots of copies about what you have done. Because otherwise, if suddenly the next time the website is down, then you if you don't have any record, then you have lost everything. Your hard work on research analysis. And of course, a mindset change. These tools, as I said, they will not last for a long time, will last forever, very few of them. So you would have to prepare to drop some of those and move on to use other new tools, hopefully more and more powerful tools. With that, I'd like to conclude the talk. I'd like to thank my collaborators for supporting me in this presentation. I have a YouTube channel that includes many of these tools. For those of you who are interested, you can contact me and I can share you the link as well. Okay, thank you very much.
Well, I guess he's not, if you hear me, let me just share with the audience. Yeah, he's here, but he's not, he doesn't, his mic is off. Yeah, let me just share with the audience a thought. You were saying that you should not use ChatGPT, and I had a discussion with a colleague of mine, actually a professor in the Netherlands. She's writing her thesis on AI and how, let's say, it could help education and so on and so forth. Professor Oumaima Hajri went on and asked ChatGPT to generate, to give her some references for her thesis. And actually, ChatGPT came back with about 100 references. So Oumaima did not stop there. Oumaima wanted to know whether those references were true. If he's not listening, I'm going to switch to French. C'est ça, n'est-ce pas? Donc, Oumaima Hajri est une Marocaine qui réside en Hollande et qui est en train de faire une recherche extraordinaire. Et donc, elle a demandé à ChatGPT de lui fournir quelques références pour sa recherche. Et ChatGPT lui a donné, I'll get back to English. Yeah, I will. ChatGPT lui a donné une centaine de références. Oumaima ne s'est pas arrêtée là. Elle n'a pas pris les références et elle les a incorporées dans sa recherche. Elle a été voir si ces recherches existaient, si ces références existaient. Aucune n'existait. Absolument aucune. ChatGPT a généré des noms, des écrits, plein de choses. Bon, ok, ça c'est le constat. Maintenant, qu'est-ce qui va arriver à l'avenir? Maintenant que ChatGPT est en train d'être lié à des bases de données, et Bard est en train d'être lié à des bases de données, et Ernie, l'équivalent chinois de ChatGPT, est également adossé, sera également adossé à des bases de données et aura l'accès de ces bases de données. ChatGPT ne créera plus, et ses équivalents créera de moins en moins de références fictives. Il ira chercher des références réelles. Et en quelques secondes. Voilà ce qui nous demande, nous, humains, qui avons créé cela, nous, intelligentes personnes. Et mon ami le professeur Saidi est là pour épiloguer là-dessus, pour commenter là-dessus. Ce qui va nous demander justement de nous transcender, pour aller au-delà de ce que nous avons aujourd'hui, pour créer autre chose. Et ça m'amène à parler de cette quantic computer que Google vient de présenter. Il fait en quelques secondes, exactement en 6 secondes, il résout une équation que le meilleur ordinateur du monde prendrait 47 années-lumière pour résoudre. C'est cela, la technologie qui est en train de se mettre en place. Et c'est avec cette technologie que nous sommes tenus d'interagir et de transformer tout ce que nous sommes en train de faire. Notre éducation de manière toute particulière, parce que c'est à travers l'éducation que le monde a réussi à créer ce que nous avons aujourd'hui. Je voudrais revenir à cet exemple d'interaction entre Oumaima Hajri et ChatGPT. Eh bien, ChatGPT, au lieu d'aller créer, et même s'il devait créer, il va d'abord créer les individus, réellement. Ensuite, il va leur donner des références réelles dans des revues, etc. Et puis, il va vous servir cela. Il va nous servir cela. Je ne sais pas si tu seras d'accord avec moi. Hein, toi, bon. Et donc, quand nous irons vérifier, nous trouverons que ce sont de véritables... La deuxième remarque qui m'a été faite, c'est qu'aujourd'hui, ChatGPT, pour produire ce que Hemingway, par exemple, Hemingway ou les grands auteurs de notre temps, de mon temps et avant, prenaient 1 année à 2 années à écrire un livre. ChatGPT peut écrire 1 million de livres en quelques secondes. Avec la même structure, le même contenu, etc., en allant même mieux. Voilà. Alors, quand nous disons ensemble avec les collègues et avec les partenaires, particulièrement heureux de travailler avec la Faculté des sciences de l'éducation, je le disais aux citoyens, avec l'École marocaine des sciences de l'information, quand nous disons qu'il faut transformer l'éducation, il faut transformer l'éducation avec raison. Et deux remarques Aya Zadou me faisait lorsqu'on parlait du papier qu'on devait présenter ce matin. Il faut que l'intelligence artificielle soit responsable. Il faut que nous adoptions une intelligence artificielle responsable. Il ne faut pas que nous l'adoptions n'importe comment. Et il faut également qu'il y ait une éthique. Il faut que ça ait des valeurs. Aujourd'hui, des universités vont dans le metaverse, vont dans cette utilisation intensive, etc. Et vous le savez déjà, Harvard, la plus prestigieuse université du monde aujourd'hui, en septembre, fera enseigner un robot à ses étudiants. Harvard, qui est la plus conservatrice des universités des États-Unis. Et pourtant, ils vont prendre un robot pour, merci, un robot pour faire enseigner certaines matières. Et ça va évoluer. Alors à nous, ici, au Maroc, à nous, sur le continent, d'être aussi créatifs, aussi créateurs aussi. Parce que notre problème, c'est que nous sommes de simples consommateurs. Alors nous avons l'intelligence, nous avons les compétences, nous avons beaucoup de monde. Je vous assure, je vous le dis de conviction, il faut que nous soyons des producteurs. Il faut que nous créions des concepts, il faut que nous développions des choses. Voilà, je ne veux pas être long. S'il y a d'autres questions, merci Saïdi, merci professeur, merci.
Je ne sais pas si vous avez d'autres questions. I don't know if you have any other questions. Bonjour.
Donc, bonjour. Alors, je suis très content ici d'être avec vous aussi dans cette conférence. Moi, je voudrais revenir sur le ChatGPT et aussi revenir sur un concept dont vous avez utilisé, professeur. Est-ce qu'on est dans un concept de transformation de l'éducation ou on est dans l'obligation de repenser les méthodes et repenser les pratiques et les approches, les paradigmes de l'éducation? Effectivement, vous avez parlé tout à l'heure, notre invité, il a parlé des tools, d'accord, effectivement, des outils et tout ça. Et effectivement, ce n'est pas les outils qui manquent, mais comment les utiliser, mais aussi comment est-ce que l'intelligence artificielle pourrait nous être utile pour une meilleure utilisation, d'accord, rationnelle des outils qui seront mis à notre disposition. Je suis le coordinateur des licences du préscolaire. Et nous sommes en train d'expérimenter un tout petit truc, parce que lorsque nous avons entendu parler un petit peu de cette conférence, je me suis dit, poser la question, intelligence artificielle et préscolaire et enfance. Et effectivement, j'ai commencé à expérimenter un petit truc avec un petit enfant, effectivement, concernant la voix et au niveau de l'éducation. Mais effectivement, ça nous donne effectivement des horizons qui sont extraordinaires. Mais je voudrais revenir sur une autre chose, c'est que pas toutes les informations qui nous sont fournies par ChatGPT sont correctes. Vous pouvez maintenant poser la question et dire quelle est la plus ancienne université au monde. Il ne va pas dire Al-Akhawayn, il va dire en Italie. Et ça veut dire qu'effectivement, au niveau des recherches, au niveau des références, au niveau, il faut prendre en considération ceci, mais aussi il faut prendre en considération la question d'éthique, l'utilisation de l'intelligence artificielle, surtout avec un public qui est un petit peu moins avéré, qui n'est pas très à l'aise à l'utilisation de cette intelligence artificielle. Voilà, merci.
En fait, si je vais essayer d'aller à partir de la fin et puis ensuite évoluer. Si ChatGPT ne nous dit pas que Al-Akhawayn c'est la première université la plus vieille du monde, c'est parce que nous n'avons pas alimenté, nous ne l'avons pas mis. Et donc ChatGPT va chercher ce qui existe, il va vous servir. Donc quand vous direz, entre guillemets, à ChatGPT que Al-Akhawayn à Fès est la plus ancienne université du monde, il va vous servir cela, il va vous le dire. Mais mieux encore, plus encore, nous sommes à la version 4, n'est-ce pas, R? Et nous allons passer à la version 5, qui n'a rien à voir avec la version 4. La version 4. Bon, mais moi cet aspect-là, je le laisse aux chercheurs. Moi, je ne fais plus de recherche. Je suis dans la hands-on et la pratique. Moi, je voudrais prendre l'intelligence artificielle pour s'adresser à l'individu, à la personne, améliorer les compétences d'une personne. Ne plus prendre un groupe très large et considérer que les uns et les autres sont au même niveau de connaissances, au même niveau de savoir, etc. Mais de nous adresser à la personne. Sur ce plan-là, l'intelligence artificielle va nous aider. Nous adresser à une personne pour construire son projet, pour orienter son action. Voilà ce que l'intelligence artificielle peut nous dire. Nos étudiants, ceux qui sont autistes, ceux qui ont des problèmes d'être en groupe, l'intelligence artificielle peut aider. Nous pouvons déceler, nous sommes en train de travailler dessus avec le professeur Saidi au niveau de la fondation, aider selon le besoin, selon the needs. Aider peut-être n'est pas le terme, c'est-à-dire contribuer, participer, être en interaction avec une personne partout où elle se trouve. Et je voudrais m'arrêter un moment sur partout où elle se trouve. Aujourd'hui, si ça a été parlé tout à l'heure, le professeur Tsou, de la réalité virtuelle, de la réalité augmentée, etc., tout cela, ce sont, c'est vrai, des outils. Mais s'ils sont pris de manière, de manière intelligente, entre guillemets, nous pouvons en faire des choses extraordinaires. Tenez, nous avons des zones enclavées chez nous au Maroc. Nous avons des zones dans le sud du Maroc, dans le nord du Maroc, etc. La connexion satellitaire peut désenclaver ces zones. Et nous pouvons, et ça nous travaillons là-dessus, et nous pouvons leur apporter partout où ils sont ce que vous faites à la Faculté des sciences d'éducation. Ils n'ont pas besoin de se déplacer à Sazak, de Tata, de Birgendouz, etc. pour venir ici, pour apprendre ce que vous faites. C'est pour cela que la dématérialisation de l'apprentissage peut se faire de manière extrêmement intelligente, utilisant les outils que le professeur Tsou nous a exposés. Voilà. Bien sûr, bien sûr, bien sûr. Oui. Sure.
Oh, hello everyone. I will just take the floor very briefly just to mention just one point. Because we were talking about tools, exactly. And ChatGPT is just a tool. And we will always keep complaining about how ChatGPT is always giving us biased data that is not really viable for every context, and that, for example, for the Moroccan context, it's not the same. It is going to give us always information that is related to those who actually came up with it. And since it's not really attached to a certain database that contains enough data to generate like good answers that are really adaptable to every context. It is time indeed to develop our own tool that is relevant to generative AI that can generate data which is not biased. And since this conference is sort of a call to all our competencies and experts that we can be producers and we can stop using tools that are given to us by other countries, by other experts. Maybe this is a call for everyone to start thinking about producing our own generative AI that can produce data related to Moroccan history, related to the Moroccan context, without really being able to go and have recourse to other databases to produce this data. Thank you.
Bien, alors si vous permettez, je disais justement que toutes ces choses, voyez-vous, ça commence à nous faire peur. Mais en fait, je crois que nous sommes en train de reprendre des schémas que nous avons déjà vécus, à savoir un enseignant qui demande à ses étudiants d'aller chercher des informations. C'est l'étudiant, le cas échéant, le cas même idéal qui revient pour dire « j'ai trouvé par rapport à une certaine question, une certaine référence, un certain auteur qui dit ceci, etc. » Ça ne veut pas dire que l'état de connaissance devrait s'arrêter là. L'état de connaissance, en fait, devrait être poussé pour dire que j'ai consulté un certain nombre d'auteurs et qui sont unanimes, qui sont d'accord à dire ceci, mais qui sont en désaccord et qui sont en différence quand il s'agit de dire ceci. Mais c'est exactement, nous sommes dans la même posture parce que quelque part, ChatGPT, il est honnête. Il est honnête, je peux le dire, je peux même le confirmer parce qu'en faisant des recherches, finit parfois par nous dire « j'ai pas trouvé de référence à ce niveau-là ». Ou bien les références que je vais fournir datent de, je ne sais pas, de 2020, mais je n'ai pas de référence à partir de telle date. Allez chercher. Ben, c'est pourquoi nous disions depuis ce matin, et à l'unanimité, donc monsieur le directeur, encore président de la Fondation, ben, toutes les interventions presque. Alors, nous étions en train de confirmer qu'il y a quand même un changement de posture qui s'impose. Et par rapport à ce que disait notre collègue Ben Taïbi, eh bien, c'est ça peut-être le nouveau rôle de l'enseignant. eh bien, c'est le fait de dire, vous avez trouvé ceci, eh bien, c'est-à-dire que c'est d'autres capacités qui sont imposées aujourd'hui. Alors, non seulement je vous ai donné d'aller faire un effort de collecte d'informations, mais il faut tenter plus, c'est-à-dire un certain esprit critique, un esprit de synthèse, pour me prouver que vous avez consulté ChatGPT, c'est une très bonne chose. Je ne vais pas dire, ça c'est ChatGPT, je ne vais pas accepter. Mais je veux dire, il faut aller loin et pousser votre recherche. Et c'est parmi les outils que nous permettent ChatGPT, parce qu'il demande quand même notre état de satisfaction. À chaque fois qu'il vous donne un résultat, eh bien, il nous dit, êtes-vous satisfait? Voulez-vous que je génère d'autres résultats? Et au fur et à mesure que je vais lui demander à chaque fois d'un seul clic de générer de nouveaux résultats, ça veut dire que c'est un travail supplémentaire, c'est une stratégie d'apprentissage supplémentaire qui s'impose et qui exige, surtout si l'enseignant demande ceci, pour que l'étudiant et l'apprenant lisent l'ensemble des résultats et nous donnent la synthèse de ces résultats. Donc c'est un changement de paradigme que nous aurions exploité à fond. Merci beaucoup.
Merci, citoyen. Est-ce qu'il y a d'autres interventions?
Hafid Alaoui, professeur ici à l'université de, j'allais dire en fait, notre université, Mohamed V. Mon cher collègue, il a parlé en fait de peur. La peur, pourquoi? En fait, moi qui ai la casquette de psychologue, on a peur parce qu'on n'est pas sûr de ce qui est devant nous, parce qu'il y a l'incertitude. On parle plus de changement, c'est changement par rapport à la connaissance. Et là, le changement, généralement, il crée deux sentiments. Un sentiment d'insécurité, un sentiment d'incertitude. Donc, c'est la société qui change. L'école, tout simplement, doit changer. Il n'y a rien d'inquiétant, en fait, dans l'intelligence artificielle. Nous devons être, tout simplement, à l'ère du temps. Merci à vous.
Merci, professeur. Rapidement, si vous voulez.
Bonjour à tout le monde. Donc, bonjour tout le monde, je suis Emmanuel Zorantou, je suis coach formateur conférencier Marketing Leadership international. Et je viens à remercier précisément la Fondation Tapkin d'être ici. Monsieur docteur a mentionné sur transformer l'éducation avec raison, une chose qui m'intéresse beaucoup. Et vous avez parlé de valeurs. Je me dis aujourd'hui, comment pourrons-nous précisément avec l'intelligence artificielle, voilà, bénéficier de cela en conservant les valeurs? Parce qu'on voit comment est-ce que la jeunesse, précisément, voilà, est dans la facilité aujourd'hui. Et les choses vont de plus en plus faciles. Et vous connaissez cette citation qui dit, je crois que les temps faciles créent des hommes, disons, médiocres, s'il faut dire ça. Sur ce, fainéant, c'est ça précisément. Sur ce, comment pourrons-nous précisément utiliser les valeurs, les conserver, tout en utilisant l'intelligence artificielle et avec ChatGPT? Je suis professeur aussi dans les écoles supérieures. Et j'ai remarqué, plusieurs étudiants précisément, génèrent des réponses. Et actuellement, ils sont en train de corriger les copies des étudiants. Je retrouve des réponses, je sais que c'est ChatGPT qui l'a fait. Et parfois, ils oublient, même quand tu fais copier-coller, parfois l'arrière-plan, ça reste. Et ce sont des bonnes réponses. Mais comment précisément utiliser l'intelligence artificielle en conservant les valeurs? Parce qu'on ne peut pas transformer une nation, ou bien transformer l'éducation sans avoir des valeurs. Ça, c'est quelque chose de clair. Et l'Afrique, je pense aujourd'hui, est ce qui garde précisément cette ligne dernière des valeurs. L'Afrique, c'est ça. Mais comment pourrons-nous le faire pour, utiliser l'intelligence artificielle pour garder les valeurs? Merci beaucoup.
Quelqu'un d'autre, s'il vous plaît?
Thank you very much. I just wanted to thank you first for insightful presentation and information. And I wanted to add something. I looked for the information about the Al-Akhawayn, and actually I asked him which is the oldest university in the world, and he said Al-Akhawayn in fact. And I wanted also to add something about the AI. So the artificial intelligence here is here to stay and to exist. So we should contribute to it in a good way, especially with the ethical considerations, such as some privacy and some fairness. And also some strategies should be in place to avoid some over-reliance on technology, keeping the human element of education intact. So this is my added value to this conference, and I thank you very much.
Somebody else? You know, before turning the floor to Professor Saidi, there's something I know, is that I don't know much. But the one thing I know is, as I'm 72 years old, I am sure that I don't know what kind of education should be provided to those who are not born yet. No way. There's no way. In 6 months, in 1 year, in 2 years, my kids do have kids, and my daughter will have kids, hopefully. I don't know what kind of education, but there is something I know. I should provide the environment for them to learn. And I should be ready to open up to anything that's coming, positive things that's coming, so to provide it to my grandkids and your grandkids and anybody to contribute to that. But sitting here, and I'm sorry, sitting here and saying, this is the kind of education they should have, we will be damn wrong doing that. No. Open up. Open up. Share. Listen. This is what Tamkin is about. And Tamkin is just empower. Help others. Be ready to embark on a new era that's here, the digital era, and contribute to it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kadili. So without further ado, I will not unfortunately introduce Professor Bia, who is the Chief AI in Education in UNESCO Paris, because unfortunately he had to leave. I went to an urgent meeting. So, but he shared the presentation. I will not go through his presentation. So the presentation just covers all the initiatives UNESCO has with regards to AI in education. So as you can see from the slide here, I can just probably go through a few slides. You can have here some insight about what's going on in terms of AI in education. There are really leading initiatives in UNESCO that cover all kind of features, aspects, strategies, policies. You see here also the number of countries involved, plus 70 countries. The guidelines, policy guidelines for digital learning, continuous support for digital learning policies, worldwide grassroots case studies. Have here also the AI and education guidance for policymakers, document in different languages. This is also one of the key documents UNESCO produced regards to this topic. You have also here a survey regarding the use of generative AI in education, covering different aspects, reflection on implications of curriculum and assessment, capacities for proper use of generative AI in education, regulations on generative AI, adjusting copyright laws, labeling AI-generated content. This is also one of the challenges that are also related to the advent of AI and generative AI. Ethics of AI including the use in education. We have 3 policy debates, ministerial roundtable on generative AI in education, 2 AI and education guidance for policy makers, 1 on Beijing consensus on artificial intelligence and education. You have also human-machine collaborative intelligence, 3 types of AI, the trustable AI for well-structured problems, human-controlled, human AI collaboration for ill-structured problems, human-accountable use of AI for social problems. Also a guidance on generative AI in education and research. Here you have several questions addressed: how generative AI model work, regulate generative AI, facilitate the use of generative AI in education and research, emerging education GPT. So this is a specific or targeted chatbot or generative AI, and reflection on knowledge and learning. You have GPT, implications for knowledge and learning. The guidance on generative AI in education and research. So the generative AI is an AI technology that automatically generates content in formats that are increasingly covering all symbolic representations of human thinking, including structured language pieces, such as articles, reports, correspondence letters, poetry, speech, scripts, blogs, posts, marketing campaigns, text or multimedia presentations, thematic images or videos, artworks, and programming codes. Conversational interfaces allows users to use prompts through typed text, natural languages or exemplary inputs of images, videos, music pieces, software code, or likes. Generative AI is trained using data collected from web pages, social media, conversations, and all other documents. So we have here other guidelines. National strategies on AI that cover areas related to educations. You have here, a survey or a list of related to this question. National policies on generative AI for education. We have here several steps proposed by UNESCO. First one, endorse international original general data protection regulation, GDPRs, or develop domestic GDPRs. Step 2, adopt and fund a whole government national strategy on AI. 3, solidify and implement specific regulations on ethics of AI. 4, adjust or enforce existing copyright laws to regulate AI-generated content. And 5, draft specific regulation frameworks on generative AI. 6, facilitate capacity building for proper use of generative AI in education and research. I have here some data. Ethical principle for AI in education, protect data privacy, prevent algorithm discrimination, regulate intrusive AI-powered tools, promote human agency during human-machine collaboration. AI-assisted inclusive tools, so member states of the UNESCO that validated and recommended AI-assisted tools and or technologies to support inclusive and equitable access to learning programs for learners with disabilities, for example. The government endorsed Key 12 AI curricula. There are 15 countries who have developed or are being developing Key 12. Key 12 is from primary to secondary. Yes. UNESCO is developing an AI competency framework for students for humanistic values on AI, data literacy, algorithm literacy, and you have also the different components. So that's all. Thank you. So I will share with you later on this presentation because unfortunately Professor Miao could not make it this morning because he had a last-minute meeting. So if you have, yeah, it will be available also online, I think. Yeah. Okay. Any probably questions related to this? Other questions probably we have not covered. I don't know if we are good on time. We still have 2 minutes for this session. Vous pourrez poser des questions en français, donc on a toujours 2 minutes s'il y a d'autres questions. Il y a une question qui est vraiment très peut-être fondamentale lorsqu'on parle de ChatGPT aujourd'hui, surtout l'égalité en quelque sorte entre guillemets d'utilisation de ChatGPT dans l'enseignement, surtout pour les étudiants. Pour les enseignants, je suppose que c'est un outil qui va permettre de renforcer, si vous voulez, le rôle des enseignants, de développer un petit peu aussi le savoir-faire. Est-ce que au niveau peut-être usage de ChatGPT, c'est une discussion qui est ouverte partout dans le monde, usage de ChatGPT au niveau des étudiants, surtout pour certains niveaux. C'est un débat ouvert et on sait que c'est une discussion très importante aujourd'hui pour avancer, surtout dans la réflexion, dans l'objectif en fait d'utiliser ce ChatGPT comme moyen de transformation de l'éducation par de EduGPT, donc un bot conversationnel adapté à l'éducation. Je ne sais pas s'il y a des interventions par rapport à ce point. Peut-être on peut prendre 2 interventions rapidement.
Merci beaucoup d'abord pour avoir vu la présentation qui était très intéressante. J'avais une question concernant les dépendances géographiques. Oh yes, sorry. I can speak in English, yeah, no problem. I had a question concerning geographical dependencies. Given that we talked before about Morocco producing more academic content to be more represented in the answers given by ChatGPT. But what I wanted to ask is, I'm not only talking about the content, I'm also talking about the infrastructures that artificial intelligence possess. Is there something that we can do to get rid of the dependence towards other countries that possess those infrastructures, that store all the information and that store the algorithms? Because I do understand fighting the dependency on the information side, but there is also a very material side to it. Thank you very much.
Probably Professor Kadiri can give some insight regarding platforms.
I think I did. I mean, let me give you a few examples. To start with, you're talking about data centers. We need to have our data centers in this country. More so because now we have a legislation, la loi 0908, the 0908 law, which provides for the protection of personal data. We need to have that for so many other reasons. So not to be, as you said in your question, dependent on others. But we need to do more than that, more than just buy equipment. Let's say, you buy any brand, and you don't know, if you don't produce it yourself, you don't manufacture it yourself, you don't know how that brand works. If it just comes to stop, you need somebody to come from abroad to fix it. We have a huge data center in Ben Grir, we have a huge data center in Rabat, and in other cities. It's developing. But more than the data centers, the processes, the intelligence itself. Because equipment you can always buy, but you cannot buy intelligence. You have to do it here, and that's our call. Now, if I go back to how to get our kids, some of the conflicts we have in the classrooms, and I used to have few. I experienced few conflicts in my own, let's say, lectures. Somebody would not agree with what I say because he has different source. And I used a different one. Now today, in the classroom, you have students who are much more equipped, much more, let's say, internet savvy than their professors. And that creates a lot of problems. When the professor says something, the students say, I don't agree. Why? Because Google says that. And I have that. And I can research and I can show. So let's teach our kids, as they grow, our own kids and the others, how to be, let's say, how to use technology and how to interact responsibly, to use your responsibly, and how to be, let's say, as open as we seem to be in this let's say, amphitheater. How to be open, but how to be creative. We have an example here, and Professor Saidi contributed a huge deal to this. Berkane, as a smart city. I invite you to go to Berkane. Kids who never coded are coding today. Who never went to, let's say, computer school, they are today. Because somebody in there, the governor, opened the city to everybody and decided that Berkane will be a smart city. So think of that. Now they're going to have so much to offer, and other cities will. I don't know whether I touched. Is that okay? Okay, thanks a lot. Bye.
Thank you, Pastor Kadiri. This closes our session. So now we move to the coffee break. So I would like to thank sincerely our keynote speakers, Professor Chu and also Professor Mia, who could not make it went to his meeting. So and we'll come back within, I think, 20 minutes or 15 minutes from now. To resume.